time for our teachers. Correct.
They level public housing and they're leveling schools. You gotta file just to beg for the truth. And if they reject it, then shame on you. Tax and credit financing, we can pay for anything like shopping malls with movie screens and everything but what you need to kids who wanna eat for free. Get a fucking PhD and don't you dare complain to me if you want an opportunity. Eventually, we are the ones who fall in line.
Correct.
We've been the magic kids 1,000 times.
I've seen a whole lot of catfish and turtles.
We are the ones who fall in line.
I'm here to tell the carnival barkers, the doomsayers, the paid professional critics, the state of our state is growing stronger.
We've been the magic kids 1,000 times. We are the ones who fall in line. Oh, yeah! Hey, woo!
Hey guys, how's it going? Oh, Ben with the beats. Oh, there now. That was awesome.
I'm playing drums.
Hey, what's going on? We're live. Live stream chat. What's happening? Weigh in. Let us know. You can hear us just fine. And don't worry, you'll get a song of the day to really test that audio. But before we get going, we need to thank some people for helping sponsor the Ben Joravsky Show. Some unions help us out. Unions like the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers Local 9 and the International Union of Operating Engineers Local 150. You guys are really nice. Thanks for doing that. And, of course, today's Ben Joravsky Show for Wednesday, July 1st. It's July. Did you guys pay rent? Me? No. Not going to do it for a little bit. Turns out I'm broke. But anyway, your Ben Joravsky Show for Wednesday, July 1st is also brought to you by our good friends at the Chicago Federation of Labor. Let me look here. Hey, Brianna, what's going on? All right. Looks like we do not have a song of the day selected by our live stream audience, so we go to our host to hear a song that more than likely came out before the year 1979. Ben Joravsky, a song of the day.
This song came out, I believe, in the 1950s.
Whoa.
It's from a Broadway musical, and there's a reason I'm thinking of it, D, but I won't tip my hand. From the Broadway musical West Side Story. I feel pretty, oh so pretty and witty am I. Who's the pretty girl in the mirror there? What mirror where? Who could that attractive girl be? Come on, D. Such a pretty smile, such a pretty place, such a pretty me.
You know, I don't know what that was, but I liked it. I really liked it.
Oh, I love that song. West Side Story. I've seen it one too many times, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry, that's just me on West Side Story.
Well, I've never seen it, but after that song, I have to see it.
D, could you do me a favor? My property tax bill came yesterday. Could you pay it for me? You were talking about rent. I was like looking at my property tax, which will be sitting there for about 2 months because I can't afford that thing. So just pay it for me today.
Hey, I just got hit with a dentist bill today. I can't even afford that. You're on your own, pal.
I'll tell you what. I'll pay your dentist bill. You pay my property tax
deal.
bill.
Deal.
Cut that deal.
The Ben Joravsky Show with a brand new intro song starts now. It is Wednesday, July 1st, and boogieing from Ben Joravsky's attic, this is the Ben Joravsky Show. Today on the program, legendary Chicago journalist Monroe Anderson. And now your host, oh, won't you take me to Funky Town? Chicago Reader columnist Ben Joravsky.
Hello, everybody. Ben Joravsky here. We're calling this Trump-Boebert Wednesday. And here's why. Well, if you had any doubt about the loonies having seized control of the Republican Party, they were obviously removed by yesterday's primary results in the state of Colorado. Lauren Boebert defeated Congressman Scott Tipton. All right, now everybody in Chicago, oh, but Ben, that's so far removed from Chicago. Everybody wants me to talk about TIFs today. We'll get to TIFs. It's so funny. Nobody ever wanted me to talk about TIFs before, but today I got 3 requests. Ben, you got to talk about TIFs. Ben, you got to talk about TIFs. All right, everybody, calm down. I'll get to TIFs. But let me just talk about what went down in Colorado, all right?
TIFs?
No. Tipton, I don't even know. Do they have TIFs in Colorado? Do not know the answer to that question.
Frank!
Probably do, since they're pretty much a conventional form of raising money. But the scam, of the Chicago scam, has, of course, taken it to a whole new level. But anyway, wait. Focus, Ben. Focus on Colorado. All right. So Scott Tipton, the incumbent congressman, was more or less a moderate and heavy emphasis on moderate. Let's put moderate in quotes. He never voted against Donald Trump, but occasionally, he kind of like said stuff like, can't we all just get along? Which, of course, makes him a moderate in the Republican Party these days. And he also voted for the CARE Act. All right, he voted for the CARE Act. Of course, Donald Trump supported the CARE Act, so that makes him more or less a moderate in the Republican Party. Well, apparently, that can't we all get along mantra is too radical for today's Republican voters. In yesterday's primary, they had an uprising. And they ousted Tipton as their candidate for Congress in November's election and nominated Lauren Boebert. A few things you should know about Lauren. She's young, 33 years old, and she loves guns. I mean, she really loves guns. I've been reading about her all morning, and Dennis has been hard at work.
Sounds like my kind of woman. Is she on Tinder?
Yeah, I think she's well out of your league nowadays. She's a congressional candidate.
Damn.
Let me tell you a little about her. She runs a restaurant called the Shooter Grill, in a western Colorado city of Rifle. That is correct. She lives in Rifle, and she runs a restaurant called the Shooter's Grill. The name of the town, like I said, one more time, is Rifle. Apparently, Bazooka was taken by a town in Nevada. Hello. Anyway, Rifle, Colorado. Remind me to stay away from Rifle, Colorado. The Shooter Grill, the restaurant, is its claim to fame is that it encourages its servers to pack a pistol, or maybe a rifle, or maybe a bazooka. I don't know. The point is, they pack guns, and they have the guns when they come to your table. So I guess you can feel secure if that's what gets you off. Apparently, their favorite song in the Shooter Grill is "Happiness is a Warm Gun," which I will now sing. Happiness is a warm gun. Come on.
Two songs sung by Ben Joravsky today.
Oh, well, there's going to be a third one.
Oh, aren't you excited, listeners?
Anyway, Tipton is a 5-term congressman. His district went for Trump by 12 points in the 2016 election. So it's a Republican district. And Trump supported Tipton. He tweeted this out. I will now read a Donald Trump tweet. Should I do it in a Donald Trump? No, my imitation is not
No. We had a good one yesterday with your Ted Cruz. Let's not let's not ruin it.
Should I read a Trump tweet in my Ted Cruz imitation? No, I'll just read a Trump tweet. And so, no, I'm going to do it as if I were a WBEZ reporter.
There
NPR.
you go. There you go.
Congressman Tipton is a great supporter of the MAGA agenda. He fights for your Second Amendment rights and the border wall. Scott is working hard for Colorado and has my complete and total endorsement. This is Dr. D for NPR. How about that, man? Oh, hold on. Here's my phone ringing. Ring. Yes. Oh, it's NPR. Yeah, I'm hired. Yeah. They just hired me to be the national correspondent.
That's how that goes.
Ben, you're so good. Thank you. Thank you, NPR. Anyway, where was I? Oh, so yes, I just read Donald Trump's endorsement, his tweeted endorsement of Tipton. Well, obviously Donald Trump's complete and total endorsement, as he put it, isn't what it used to be because Boebert out-Trumped Trump. She is clearly the leader of the anti-mask movement in Colorado. She does not believe in masks, having to wear masks. She apparently thinks the pandemic is a hoax. Donald Trump is kind of wavering on that. You know, he's kind of backed away. You haven't heard Donald Trump say the pandemic is a hoax concocted by China in a while. He's not quite sure which way to go with that. Obviously, the heart and soul of the Republican Party believes that it is a hoax.
I'm not a doctor.
Yeah, that's clear. And they don't want to wear masks. But, there's still some of his political operatives telling him, boss, you can't go too far with that. You'll lose those swing voters in Wisconsin and Michigan. So he's kind of backing away from it. But Lauren Boebert's not backing away. Oh, no. She opened her restaurant in March, even though the locals had ordered all restaurants closed. And then the county suspended her food license and sent her a cease and desist letter. This is something we have in common with her. We each have received cease and desist letter. Now, in our case, we get cease and desist orders or emails. I don't know what they are. We don't know why we get them. Apparently, we're violating someone's copyright. We just get these commands. Stop playing that music. Dennis thinks it's from ABC. The Stephanopoulos show. I don't know about that. Maybe. Who knows? Anyway, she got a cease and desist letter to stop operating a restaurant, and she operated it anyway. And since everybody's packing a gun, she was sort of daring the locals to shut her down. So, yes, she is an extreme MAGA. And Trump immediately reversed himself as soon as the election results were finalized and sent her a congratulatory tweet saying, quote, congratulations on a really good win. It kind of reminds me, I was telling you about this, about scene in Barbershop. Remember, did you ever see the movie Barbershop?
1 and 2, yeah.
Okay, in this Barbershop 1, which is a movie filmed here in Chicago, Ice Cube movie, and I think it came out around 2001 or so. Anyway, there's a scene in Barbershop where Jalen Rose, follow me on this, on my non-sports fan listeners out there, Jalen Rose was a pretty good basketball player in the 90s in the O's, not a great basketball player, but a pretty good basketball player, and he was traded to the Bulls from Indiana. Now, this is in that era when Jordan had left the team. I have to set this joke up, D, okay? Let's hope the payoff is worth this enormous setup. So Jalen has a cameo appearance in Barbershop, and he walks into the Barbershop, which is a barbershop on the south side of Chicago, and the barber, played by Cedric the Entertainer, announces that Jalen Rose is in the barbershop, and he goes, Michael who? Michael who? Remember that line? I love that line. Michael who? Like Jordan's gone. So we already forgot about him. And that's Trump with Tipton. Tipton who? Tipton who? Trump's all in for Boebert. You know, I'll tell you what, folks. We know that the Republican Party has lost its freaking mind when Donald Trump finds himself scrambling to the right to catch up. We got a great show today, everybody.
Yeah! Hand me that bottle! Yeah! Let's go!
That was really good. I like the bottle thing. Monroe Anderson, he's all fired up. I sent him a bunch of things to listen to and read. He's right now doing his homework and preparing. So he will be on it too. Vince Norman will be our second guest today. We'll drop that interview at 7 o'clock. And he, of course, is the founder of the Marijuana Hall of Fame. And Dennis and I will be making our last-ditch appeals to be. I don't know why I'm not in it already, okay? All right, Vince, you coming on this show? I want to be in the Marijuana
Like I said,
Hall of
you get the Lifetime Achievement Award.
Yeah, Lifetime Achievement. That's what they
Lifetime Achievement Award is what they call it.
Ooh, hold on.
You know, chiefin'.
Hold on, let me have this.
Oh, there you go. Drink water.
You can't see it. I'm drinking bong water.
Disgusting.
I know, it's disgusting. Oh, my God.
Well, that should get you in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, that should get me in the Hall. By the way, you sent me, what was it yesterday? You sent me Snoop Dogg being, who was he?
Bill Burr was on Snoop Dogg's talk show. It's a little podcast show.
Definitely going to have to listen
You'd
to
like
that.
it. They talk about old school basketball, so
I'm
that's
definitely
right
going to
up
listen to that. Big fan of Bill Burr. I know it may be controversial in some circles, but his takedown of Steve Jobs.
Jobs.
I was a little reluctant to call him Jobs since the phone put so many people out of work. But anyway, whatever. His takedown of him is pretty funny and right on target. Anyway, that's later in the day. Let's focus, Ben. Focus. And before we do any of that, young man from Alton, the man they call, what do they call? D-Nice with the news.
No one calls me that. Hey, hand me that bottle over there.
Yeah. Wait, someone called you that.
Yeah, Troy LaRaviere.
Oh, Troy LaRaviere.
I feel like we have this conversation every week.
Oh, man. It's like Groundhog Day. Ooh. It's all that bong water.
It is all that bong water. What a gross habit you have. Mm-hmm. All right, before we find out what's happening in Chicago and or Illinois this afternoon, hey, Ben, have you read that latest in Crane Chicago Business on the TIF extension?
Okay. Can I? All right. First of all, by the way, Frank weighs in. Colorado does have a TIF. Yes. Thank you, Frank. I figured they would. It's a very conventional way of raising money. It's only Chicago that has turned it into this. Well, I don't know for certain that it's only Chicago. I know of no other city that has taken the TIF financing tool and turned it into this huge scam, multi-billion dollar scam. But I did not read the story. So here's what happened, folks. And I don't think anybody else has read the story. It started earlier today. I started getting texts from friends texting me a link to Greg Hines' latest story in Cranes about Mayor Lori Lightfoot extending a TIF.
All right, now here we go. Now, I've been working all summer, all right, trying to get Greg Hines on this program for a Zoom interview. Turns out he's not the biggest fan of Zoom.
No.
I've almost got him a one over. I'm winning him over. Okay. So please, tread lightly on the Greg Hines.
So, as everybody knows who listens to this show, Greg Hines is distinguished. How about that? Distinguished.
I like
political reporter for Crane Chicago Business.
Yes.
Back in the day when I was a very, very young man, and so was Greg, we used to play at a poker party, okay? A regular poker game.
That's where we get in trouble.
And let's just say, Greg may be a distinguished journalist,
yeah,
but a lousy poker. I used to take his money. Come on. In fact, at the end, I go, Greg, let's not even play the cards. Just give me the money. Just give me the money. Very funny.
Wait, I got an email. Hold on, let me check. Let me see what's going on here. Okay, Greg Hines canceled. We will never get this man on our program.
As everybody knows, Greg's favorite song is "You Gotta Know When to Ho, When to Ho." No, Greg Hines all over the map on TIFs. One day he likes them, next day he doesn't like them. He loved them in the Rahm era. I think he's come to see the error of his ways. It's okay, Greg. Some of us takes longer than others. So yeah, he wrote a story. Give Greg credit. He got the scoop. And actually, you know what, D? This is going to sound horrible, but I knew this before it happened, only because I was obsessively going through TIF legislation. But anyway, Greg gets the scoop. Give him credit. The problem is his story, which he ran in Cranes, is protected by a paywall. And all my cheap listeners who are sending me the link, too cheap to pay for it. Now, I want to tell you this, Cranes.
Way to keep listeners listening. Call them cheap.
Well, like, Ben, did you see this story? They sent me the link. I click on the link. There's a paywall. I text them back. There's a paywall. Oh, yeah, I know. I didn't read the story either. Well, what good is this?
Listeners, we don't think you're cheap, and I bet you're all great at poker.
Yeah, Greg Hines, great poker player. Okay? Maybe that'll work. He's really one of the great poker players of all time, D. So anyway, it's protected by a paywall. I do not blame Cranes for having a paywall, to protect themselves from cheapskates who just want to steal their stuff and read it, like Ben Joravsky. So I don't know the specifics of the story. I do know that Lori Lightfoot got the state legislature, this happens all the time, to extend a TIF district. And by extending a TIF district, that means that district will continue to siphon off property taxes that you, the dummies of Chicago, continue to pay, thinking it's going for things like schools and cops and firefighters. And what you don't know is that a portion of it is going to a TIF district. And it doesn't say that on your tax bills. And like the one I have right here, this tax bill I have right here. Let's take a look. Is there anything on this property tax bill that I have right here that says anything about TIF money going to this TIF district on the near north side in the Cabrini, where Cabrini Green used to be, that Greg Hines just wrote about? Let's see, we have...
And listeners, we don't think you're dummies.
Water Reclamation District, Park Aquarium Bond, Chicago Park District, Board of Education, Chicago... Nope, nothing about a TIF. No, our listeners are smart, but the dummies in Chicago... If it's not on their tax bill, well, Ben, it doesn't say anything on my tax bill. Typical Chicagoan. I'll just give them the money anyway. Here, take my money.
But seriously, though, 4 people have reached out to Ben about this TIF article.
I know. They keep sending me the same. Ben, did you see the story? I saw a headline. Have you read the story? No, there's a paywall. Nobody's read the story. Anyway. So they extended the TIF. I figured that out from the headline. They extended the TIF district, which means for another, 13, 12 years, you will continue to pay a portion of your property taxes to this TIF district. And Lori Lightfoot, whoever the mayor of the city of Chicago is, will be free to spend it pretty much however she wants or he wants, whoever the mayor is. So, that's the TIF program in the city of Chicago. By the way, wait, hold on.
What?
Can I continue talking about this?
I mean, it's your show, pal.
What? Somebody else sent me a link to WirePoints. Remember WirePoints?
WirePoints.
WirePoints is this far right-wing news operation, and I put news operation in quotes. They're basically, a tool of the anti-Pritzker crowd. Anyway, they said something nice about me.
Really?
Yes.
You specifically?
Me and Tommy Tresser.
Wow.
I know. And they quoted me. Hey, they didn't pay me. That's because the reader doesn't have a paywall. You got to get a paywall, all right? That was a guy named Mark Glennon, who writes for WirePoints, quoted me. Let me see. Hold on, D. Let me get this. Let me see. Hold on.
Wow.
This is good radio. Hold on. Wait, where we go? Here we go.
It's podcasting.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Here we go.
We're going to read the latest from... WirePoints.
Yeah, here we go.
We love Ben.
They got a mini paywall here, but if I click this thing, the paywall disappears. All right. Mark Glennon, and he writes, Mark Glennon. Did he used to play football for the Chicago Bears? Focus, Ben, focus.
Please.
It's not often that we're on the same page with Tom Tresser of Civic Lag and Ben Joravsky of the Chicago Reader. Yay, I made it! And that's why I was singing, I feel pretty, oh so pretty, and witty am I, because I made it, D. I'm in WirePoint, the far right-wing rag for... the anti-Pritzker crowd. I've made it.
Well, I know there's a certain someone who wants to congratulate you.
Yay for our teachers! Yay for our teachers!
I made it. My life is complete. Oh, God. But on the central problem with tax increment finance in Chicago, their abysmal lack of transparency were on common ground along with most everybody else. Well, I don't know about that, Mark Lennon. I mean, if everybody else was on the same page regarding TIFs and their transparency, maybe they'd be more transparent. Did you ever think of that? In fact, I'm just going to say this right now. I can't think of anybody of significance who's on that page. Hence, the lack of transparency. Certainly no mayor of the city of Chicago has ever been on that page. And I hate to say this, Wirepoint. You're going to get really mad at me right now, and you're never going to say another nice thing about me, and I will never, ever be able to sing, I'm so pretty and so witty and so pretty and witty am I about you again. But no Republican in the state of Illinois of significance has ever lifted a finger for transparency with TIFs. Not a one of them. That's because a lot of them got their big paw in that TIF honey jar. They got honey all over their face. Wire points. Yes, your beloved Republican Party is up to its eyeballs in TIF handouts. No wonder they shut up about it. They only worry about pensions. That's what they're worried. Oh, a working stiff is getting a pension when he's a geezer? That's outrageous. But, funnel $2 billion through TIFs to, let's see, what was the last proposal that absolutely no Republican opposed? Oh, yes! How about the big, huge TIF handout that Mayor Rahm and Governor Rauner wanted to give to Jeff Bezos and Amazon? Remember that one, Wire Points? Let's see if anybody from the Republican Party was opposing that one. Hey, guys, come out from under the table. Ugh, we're scared. Ugh.
How'd they get in the attic? Thought the door was locked.
Oh, God, that's the problem, Wire Points. If anybody really cared about transparency, they would be transparent. But there's a reason nobody wants them to be transparent. The guys giving the money, who control the TIFs, don't want it to be transparent, and the people taking the money don't want to be transparent. And most of the people taking that money, or many of those people taking that money, are of the Republican persuasion. Hence, a lack of transparency. And transparency is not even, in my humble opinion, Wire Points, the worst problem with the TIFs. I would have to say the worst problem with the TIFs, how about this? They're intended for the poorest of the poor, and they go to the richest of the rich. That, I would say, would be the worst problem of the TIFs. Although, if you give me more time to think about it, there's so many problems with TIFs. I could go on and on and on. But anyway, D, you know what? I don't want to seem unappreciative. So one more time, I want to thank Wire Points.
Oh, there you go.
And they spelled my name right.
Did they?
Yeah, and then they quoted me a bunch of times. Can I read you some of the quotes, Steve?
Go for it.
All right. Here's a quote. Let's see. Wait a minute. They quoted Greg Hines too. They're really spreading around.
There we go. Yeah, let's go back to that. Let's keep scorching that bridge.
Okay. TIFs are a shadow budget, as Joravsky put it, because it's impossible to know what's going on, where, or why. How much did the TIFs, with their annual take of hundreds of millions, add to Chicago property tax bill? Good question. Here's Joravsky's candid answer, despite his years of detailed research on it. You know what? I got to thank you, Mark, for saying. You didn't have to say the years of detail. That was really nice, okay?
Yeah.
Thank you, okay?
Forget all that other stuff he said.
Forget everything I
ago.
said about you being a lousy quarterback. Yeah. No, seriously, guys, that was Mike Glennon, all right? Just a little inside joke that nobody got. Quote, this is him quoting me. I can't tell you because I don't know. I'm not privy to that information. I need to make such calculations. Those who have the info aren't talking, presumably because they don't want you to know. Thank you, Mark Lennon, for quoting me. Thank you for putting my name in there. And thank you for spelling it correctly. And for filling my day with joy and glee. I do feel pretty, D. But I have to say, just going to say this to my listeners out there. I love every single one of you dearly. But you know what the little bird says when it flies over your head? Cheep, 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 cheep. Come on. Get through that crane's paywall. Now you're going to say, Ben, why don't you subscribe? Oh,
yeah, why don't you subscribe? Greg Hines lover?
Good counterpoint, listeners. Of course, I made the counterpoint. Good counterpoint. No, who am I? Let's see, D. Who am I channeling when I say good counterpoint? Mayor?
I don't know.
It's one of our favorite gags. Lori Lightfoot. to Hillary Clinton, Hillary Clinton, how did you get to be so smart? To which Hillary Clinton goes, good question, Mayor. I love it when you play that thing. Anyway, so thank you very much, Wire Points. And yes, that's the TIF story. I'll do the deep dive and get back to you guys tomorrow on what the mayor's up to here. I'm basically accumulating slush to spend as she wants. Slush. Just think TIF equals slush. That's all you need to know.
Oh, I just got an email from Wire Points. Oh, wow. Oh, it's some audio. Let's hear this.
Wire points. We hate Ben Joravsky.
Oh, no. Oh, my God, that was so fast. No, they're really mad. Hold on. I just got a cease and desist text message from Wire Points. Stop linking us to Mike Glennon. Oh, sorry. Okay. Mike Glennon being the really bad quarterback that the Chicago Bears signed to an $18 million contract, doing anything to avoid signing Colin Kaepernick. Remember that, Mike Glennon? He has nothing to do with Wire Points. It was a bad joke. I humbly apologize.
All right, local news, everybody. Let's do it, huh?
Oh, God. I love talking about TIFs. Can we talk TIFs a little more? No, let's get to the local news.
Let's get to the local news here. First up, Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker.
I'm here to tell the carnival barkers, the doomsayers, the paid professional critics, the state of our state is growing stronger each day. Don't believe me? Well, consider these facts.
Actually, no one cares.
Stop. I like JB.
No public. I didn't say I hate him.
Wait, time out. That was his, which speech was that? That was his budget speech or his State of the State?
His budget.
That was pre-pandemic, D. God,
I know.
Whoa, get out the bong on that one, huh?
No public events scheduled for the governor. I guess the big guy is sitting back and enjoying the fruits of his labor this afternoon because it's July 1st, which means, and trying to contain your excitement here, listeners, but it's a new fiscal year in Illinois. Now, this also means that a handful of new laws have gone into effect today. And thanks to Springfield's NPR station 91.9, we have a list of those new laws.
Wait, NPR in Springfield?
Yeah.
All right. Give him a shout out. Hey, NPR, I'm just saying. Dr. D, pretty talented guy.
Yeah.
All right.
I bet I'd be good at NPR Springfield.
I could just hear you. And in the news, this is ironic. Governor Pritzker is the governor.
That would be the news, yeah.
Ironic.
No, I would imagine NPR like doing like farm reports, but in that voice. Here is your farm report.
Soybeans.
Yeah.
How ironic.
That's how that would be.
Soybeans.
All right, so yeah, we got these new laws here, and nothing new here. I'm going to read them, and Ben will talk about them. But first, we must discuss a law that unfortunately did not make the cut in the new fiscal year. Would have been really convenient if it did, given the current crisis we're facing at the moment. Rent control.
Yes.
The following comes from the Chicago Sun-Times. The headline reads, Housing advocates fear eviction boom, urge Governor Pritzker to cancel rent and mortgage payments. Housing advocates Tuesday taped notices demanding rent payments within 5 days on the gate of Governor J.B. Pritzker's home in the Gold Coast in hopes of drawing attention to what they say is an imminent housing crisis. The Lift the Ban coalition posted the notices while calling on the first-term governor to cancel rent and mortgage payments and to lift the ban on rent control because so many people are out of work due to that damn dirty coronavirus. In a twist, the notices were addressed to the, quote, renters of Illinois and listed Pritzker as the, quote, landlord or landlord's agent with service on behalf of the real estate lobby. Here's Rod Wilson. He's a member of the Lift the Ban coalition. And hey, no one said being the governor of an entire state was easy, all right? Rod Wilson said, quote, all we're saying is sign the paper, cancel the rent, cancel the mortgage, put a regulation on rent increases. That's all we're asking for. Otherwise, he's going to be known as the billionaire governor that led us into the worst housing crisis ever. And I say, shame on you. Anything you'd like to say before we continue?
Yeah, there's a lot I'd like to say about that. And we had, first of all, I urge everybody to check out our interview with State Representative Delia Ramirez. Remember that interview, D? We took the deep dive on this issue and talked about how this bill was torpedoed in the House about a month ago. God, I've lost track of time. But yes, the state of Illinois, the Democratic Party in particular, does not want to move too quickly on this front. And it gets at the heart of many of the divisions in the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party takes very seriously the real estate lobby and the interest of real people who own property. And they do not want aid going to renters. And part of me, D, okay, let me back up. I have never, ever, personally been a landlord. I've never owned property. Well, the only property I own is my house. I've never rented out to anybody. So I do not have the perspective of experience. So I have to put that out there up front. All right, D? Have you ever owned property and been a landlord?
Well, I've dabbled a little bit.
Oh.
You'll find out in moments.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I can tell you this. I've had many conversations with people who own property and are landlords. And almost exclusive, it is just like across the board. There is refrain from many of these people. They'll look at me and they go, Ben, because they know I'm of the liberal persuasion. And they go, Ben, I know what I'm about to say is politically incorrect. So whenever anybody starts that, you go, uh-oh, where are we going with this, right? and then they talk about how the law gives too much protection to renters. I'm just telling you, folks, about conversations I've had many times with many different people across all kinds of demographics. Black people, Hispanic people, white people who've owned property. I've had this conversation, and they believe that the law goes too far to protect renters, and they'll tell me about these horrific tenants that they've had to deal with who would never leave, and they've had to go to court, and it was a big pain in the neck to get rid of them, and they didn't pay the rent, and they left the house a mess, or the apartment a mess. I'm just telling you the story that I've heard many times. And so this notion that somehow or other the state is far too, conciliatory to renters, far too lenient toward renters at the expense of landlords, has deep roots in the state of Illinois, in the city of Chicago, and so it's always going to be a struggle to get more protection for renters. It will always be a struggle, regardless. And I also believe there are some real estate owners, I got to watch what I'm saying this one very carefully, D. I'm going to think through what I'm about to say, who are going to take advantage or want to take advantage.
If only you would have done that with Greg Hines and wire points. Just saying.
You got to know when to hold them and know when to fold them, Greg. Just saying. Anyway, back to the landlords, who probably are going to take advantage of this pandemic to get rid of some tenants they want to get rid of. For whatever reason, D. Okay? For whatever reason. Maybe the tenants, they don't like them. Maybe they play loud music. Maybe they just want to get rid of them so it's easier to sell the property. Who knows? I just have a feeling, knowing... having had many conversations with many people who are landlords over the years, that they're trying to take advantage of this pandemic, or they would like the ability to take advantage of this pandemic to get rid of tenants. And so the last thing they want is the state to pass a law that protects the interest of tenants and protects their leases, even if they're not paying rent. D, I know what you're saying. You're saying, Ben, you're so cynical, okay? But that's my hunch. And so that's why the Democrats are not passing, that's one of the reasons the Democrats are not passing the sweeping rent aid that the activists want.
The Sun-Time article continues here. Keisha Smith, 43, of Austin, said that she's worried the coming months will result in a boom in evictions. She said, quote, "Too many of us will be homeless after the pandemic. I have at least 6 families who are petrified because what are they going to do? Businesses were closed down. They lost their jobs. Some of them were able to get unemployment, but some of them weren't. They are fighting that. It's just nobody knows what they are up against. So we've come together. So yeah, kind of crummy. From stay home, save lives to move out, who cares?
Yeah, well,
Still no new legislation to help people keep a roof over their heads during a pandemic. Boy, if only we had someone with gobs and gobs of money in Illinois just sitting in there, with no purpose whatsoever. Wait, hold on, I got the newsroom flagging me down. Oh, interesting. We must have an update. All right, let me go over to the newsroom for a second. Hang tight, listeners. I'm going to grab the story, and I will be right with you.
Hey, give me the story. What, did you pay rent?
Damn it, I'm renting out the attic to the newsroom.
that's sweet.
They haven't paid rent yet.
Wait, there's the attic or the basement? We're in the attic.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I just went to the newsroom.
Okay.
That little room that I went to.
I get you. Off of the attic.
They owe me money for rent.
Yeah, they're...
Hey, 4 more days. That's all you get.
Thank you.
He's a tough landlord, that Dr. D.
We got the update here.
His new name is Dr. L, Dr. Landlord.
My name's Dennis. All right. Got the story. Oh, that's right. We do have a really, really rich guy living in Illinois with gobs and gobs of money. It's Illinois' richest man, billionaire Ken Griffin.
Kenny G.
Maybe he can lend a hand to his fellow Illinoisans in maybe the most insane time we'll ever live in. All right, this story does involve Ken Griffin. Illinois billionaire Ken Griffin, it says here, gives $10 million to the Navy SEAL Foundation.
Not really going to help any... The Navy SEAL, what's the money going to be?
Well, according to Ben's favorite magazine, Crane's Chicago Business, this is the largest...
Wait, time out. How'd you get through the paywall?
Newsroom, baby.
Oh, my God. Don't tell Greg Hines, okay?
According to Crane Chicago Business, please come on the show, Mr. Hines. This is the largest donation in the Navy SEALs' 20-year history. The money will expand programming and care for the elite SEAL military personnel and their families. Well, I'm glad they're good.
Yeah, they're
including
okay.
Support for children's resiliency programs and a scholarship program providing tuition assistance to SEAL members seeking higher education.
Well, you want me to comment on that?
I mean, that's what we do here.
$10 million to the SEALs. What did he give to help the kids of Chicago, like with the internet access? I forget. Hundreds of thousands of kids with it. I think he gave $7 million. Did I say? Is that? No, I don't know if it was that much. Anyway, who am I to criticize Ken Griffin, the richest man in the state of Illinois, this hedge fund operator who makes gazillions of dollars every day with trades? Every now and then he throws a nickel out at dime. He's still, the $10 million, D, still not as much money as he donated to Bruce Rauner. So apparently he loves those children of Navy SEALs, but not as much as he loves Bruce Rauner. Just saying, all right? Got a ways to go. And by the way, since I raised the topic, let me just say this. That fundraising drive to help the kids of Chicago get internet access, it's going to take 4 years, according to the Tribune, to get the internet access going. If anybody in the city of Chicago really cared about kids, they wouldn't make them wait 4 years to get internet access. Just saying, D. Anyway, Kenny G, thank you for giving the money to the Navy SEALs. Thank you for giving the money to the kids of Chicago. But could you kick in a little more money for the kids of Chicago? Because 4 years is an awful long time. And by the way, could you why don't you just give some money to some Democrats just to even it out a little bit? The guy running against, what's her name? Lauren, I just blanked on her name. Lauren Boebert. Why don't you give money to the Democrat who's running against Lauren Boebert? Diane Bush is her name, in the 3rd Congressional District in Colorado. There you go. I just figured out a donation for him to make. How about that, D?
Awesome. Wait, hold on. What'd you say?
Hey, no, it's down to 3 days.
Thank you. They got 3 days now to pay the rent. Or they're out of here. All right.
Landlord. So I see you're not going to be joining the protest outside of JB's house
hell no.
anytime
Hell
soon.
no. Not until this newsroom coughs it up. All right.
He's a cold-hearted landlord, ladies and gentlemen.
All right. Now let's get to it here. Let's find out what new laws went into effect today. Yes. Spoiler alert, by the way, guys. Marijuana's still legal. All right. Turns out that's made a bunch of money, so that's not going anywhere. All right, first new law is the gas tax. Motorists will pay a bit more at the pump, but Downstaters and Pritzker haters, please do not flip out yet, because this is nothing like the last increase that we were hit with when we saw motor fuel taxes go up 38 cents per gallon on July 1st. Today, the pump prices will rise less than a penny per gallon, and it will gradually increase to 7 cents or by 7 cents per gallon. And this is a part of an annual hike tied to inflation. Ben, how you feeling about the gas tax?
I'm a big supporter of raising the gas tax. Eddie Maher's been on the show many times explaining how it's going to be used to pay for infrastructure repairs that we need throughout the state of Illinois. So hip, hip, hooray for raising the gas tax.
Hip, hip, hooray.
It doesn't really... Okay, now you're going to point out, Ben, you hardly drive at all anymore. I can't remember the last time I put... I think it's been about 3 weeks since I put gas in the car, Dave.
Holy cow.
Yeah. But I do pay property tax. Did I tell you about this property tax bill I got today?
No, not once.
Well, get ready to see it here. You'll be seeing it for about, another 2 months. It's going to be a while. Hold your horses, Cook County. You'll get it, but it's going to take a while.
So that was the first new law. By the way, we went over minimum wage yesterday, so we obviously know that's one. Go listen to yesterday's show, and we talked all about minimum wage. All right, so first new law, gas tax. The next one, pretty straightforward, tickets for texting. This law will allow the Secretary of State to revoke or suspend someone's license for using an electronic device, such as a cell phone or a laptop.
A laptop?
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Wow.
While behind the wheel.
That
like
is-
if you're on a laptop behind the wheel, never hang out with me again.
You really have issues, folks, if you're using a laptop behind the wheel. I didn't know it was illegal.
Yeah, so it says here that will allow Secretary of State to revoke or suspend someone's license for using an electronic device while behind the wheel if they cause great bodily harm or disfigurement as a result of an accident. Another measure will also allow licenses to be revoked for motorists injuring people in crosswalk accidents.
By the way, what's your position, Dennis, on people who text and drive?
Knock it off, everybody. That's really stupid.
I have
Focus, people, focus.
I have a confession to make, Dean. One of my famous confessions. I have.
my God.
Yeah, I know. In the past, I get obsessed about things. I've really worked on this, folks. I've done a good job, I think, about ending this obsession. So, let's say, like, I get in the car and I've been on the phone and I got to go somewhere. So I'm in a hurry, to get where I'm going, but my mind is back at dealing with whatever issue I was dealing with when I left the house. And so I start texting and I'm driving. And I realized, it's been a while since I've done that. I'm very proud of that, but I can't do that anymore. So I put the phone in my pocket.
Please.
That's it. You'll just have to wait. The text can wait. So when I'm walking, I have a real thing about people who are on their phones. And I'm like, you're on your phone. That's a violation of the law. When you're old, you can do stuff like that, Dave. People, that old man.
No, I don't know. Not old.
Yeah, he's a young guy. God bless you. Well, I'll just give you a little hint, what it's going to be like when you're older. You'll find. Remember yesterday's show? Maya defending millennials?
Yeah.
Did you see that? It was like, this is something I discovered, folks. If you criticize the millennial generation to a millennial, they have this instinctive reaction to defend their generation. I feel no react. By the way, it's weird. I'm with them 100% when they rip boomers. What a freaking lousy generation the boomers are, D?
I'm glad you finally said it.
Finally, I've been saying it for years. They like that Donald Trump is the last boomer. Boomers have no credibility whatsoever. But millennials are very defensive about this. So yesterday, I pointed out something that you had pointed out, D. Colin Boyle, ace photographer reporter for, what's the name of the publication he works for, D?
Block Club Chicago.
That's what I wanted to know. Block Club did the big story about young people just jamming bars and restaurants in Wrigleyville without masks and just sharing germs.
And it's really funny. If you see the article, you just see a picture of people lined up. They're not wearing masks. It's almost like I want to be in that moment where all those people are like, oh, shit, we're getting our pictures taken. Okay, we're going to be on the news.
Yeah, I know. If they think about it at all, they could be so bombed. They could find like that guy in Florida who I love, Corona. That guy. Anyway, so millennials.
I've seen a whole lot of catfish and
that
turtles. No gators yet, though.
No gators. Do you think that guy, the gator guy, wears a mask? Anyway, so I pointed out to Maya instantly. She goes, "It's not just young people, Ben. And then she told me about some sushi bar in Andersonville where middle-aged people and even older people were eating sushi, congregating, no masks. Well, of course, you can't eat if you have the mask on, unless you have like a mask with like a hole in it or something like that. That's a new thing that could come out, like a mask with, like you could fit the sushi through the little...
I've seen some clever little mask moves where you get a little string and you pull it and the mouth part comes up and you can eat some food.
Well, but anyway, the point is, I don't know. What do you think, D? Who violates the mask protocol more? Geezers or young people?
Geezers.
You think geezers violate it more than young people?
Yeah.
You're just saying that because you're a young
You're
person.
damn right. You're damn right.
Proves my point. Millennials instinctively defend each other. Now, Ben, I saw an old guy at a sushi restaurant. Okay.
All right, to the live stream chat here, Steven brings up a fantastic point. Steven says, does that include cops because they have laptops in their cars?
Excellent point. They should not be using their laptops while driving. That is for certain. But they do have laptops in their car. Just the thought of using a laptop while driving, it's just people really getting comfortable a little too comfortable with driving the car if they're using a laptop. But I believe the law also applies to police officers. Whether anybody's going to, ticket a police officer is a whole other issue.
Fred agrees with me. He says the older people are the worst with masks, ironically.
Well, that is ironically because they're the ones with the most to lose. But I don't know. You know what? I'm going to be doing a mental count tomorrow. I'll report my results.
Oh, there we go. Excellent. Okay, so we went over that law there. Texting, tickets for texting. How about schools? Yes, new laws involving schools. Contributions of the LGBTQ community will now be a part of school curriculums. A measure requires schools to include the teaching of history of the community in the coming school year for junior high students. The law says it should provide a history of the roles and contributions of lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender people in the history of both the United States and Illinois. A semester of civics education will also be required in the coming school year for junior high students. It requires that civics be taught to students between 6th and 8th grade. Schools are now required to develop a plan for students with epilepsy that includes training for employees and aides on how to handle students with the disease. The plan requires a student's parents or guardians to share the healthcare provider's instructions on managing the student's epilepsy and include a copy of any prescriptions and how and when to administer those medicines.
Yeah, I've talked about many of these bills. In fact, remember we did the breakdown. Oh my God, D was back in the studio in December of the new bills. Remember that? Remember that show? Mm-hmm. It's proved to be a very popular show. But I remember in particular the civics bill because that's going to be a really difficult and challenging for teachers to try to balance the lessons of civics with whatever political leanings of the people who run the communities and the schools, districts that they are teaching in. Particularly, thinking just like civics, like if you talk about the fair tax proposal that J.B. Pritzker has got the General Assembly to put on the ballot. There'll be in November, there'll be a vote on that, whether we raise the highest rate on the wealthiest people in Illinois. So a civics class would have to deal with what I consider propaganda, which is the opposition to the tax, versus truth, which is my view. How about that, D? Just imagine if a civics teacher just dealt with that statement that I made. Well, the other side's propaganda, and my side is the truth. Right there would be a little challenge for a civics teacher, just throwing that out there ironically. So civics is a very difficult thing, obviously, to teach. And then, getting the issue of gay history, which I think should be part of curriculum. Then you get into some districts where people just would have a instinctive reaction against it. Like some of the reactions against the Supreme Court when they defined gay people as being a protected class in cases of discrimination. I would bet most of the Republican voters were against that. I can almost guarantee you that the newly nominated Republican candidate for Congress in Colorado would be against it, Lauren Boebert. Boy, I have a hard time with her name. But anyway, so teaching a civics class in this political climate is no joke, and I feel a little sorry for civics teachers. Remember, Dee, we had a civics teacher bring her kids into the studio a couple times back in the old days? Mm-hmm. That was a lot of fun. Anyway, so yeah, it's civics in school is one of those great ideas on paper that could be really problematic when put into practice.
All right, so we've talked the gas tax, we talked texting in schools. We now go to new laws in gambling. Yeah, love gambling. All right, while not a new law per se, casinos and video gambling terminals can reopen at 9 a.m. July 1st, today. They have been closed for more than 3 months since they were closed as the state added restrictions due to COVID-19. At casinos, they will have reduced capacity, require social distancing, and make both customers and employees wear facial coverings. They will also have to meet certain sanitation requirements. Gamblers at video gaming outlets will see their machines separated from the others by at least 6 feet or a tall partition placed between them. The gambling parlors will also have sanitation requirements. On the eve of the reopening, Governor Pritzker signed a new law taking effect Wednesday that will reduce taxes for the owners of a proposed Chicago casino. The additional taxes on the proposed facility had been a hindrance in getting a casino operated.
Yes, we've talked about this many times. The old hindrance to a Chicago casino. Chicago is desperate for money, any money it can find, in part because, to tie all our topics together, they're allowing millions and millions of dollars to fly out the window for the TIF districts. So to find money, to compensate for the money they're losing to the TIF districts, they're bringing a casino to Chicago. They're going to use the proceeds to help pay pension obligations for policemen. And a very important obligation that we must make. And I always doubted this, but from the get-go, from the minute the bill was passed, it seemed, Mayor Lori Lightfoot and her city was saying, and her aides were saying that not enough money was going to the operator. Too much money was going to the state and the city. And so we had to lower the amount that the city and the state get so that the operator could get more, and then there would be profitable for the operator to run a casino. And I didn't see, obviously, I said I wasn't a landlord. I've never run a casino, but I had a little hard time believing that one, D. The whole system is set up to benefit the casino. If you go to a casino, most likely you're going to lose. The whole thing is set up so you will lose. So I have a little hard time believing we have to give them even more money to operate, but apparently that's what the powers that be said, so they got their wish. So you see, D, see how easy it was to get more money to the casinos and how hard it is to get relief for tenants? How about teaching that in a civics class? There you go. There's a challenge for civics teachers. Good luck with this one. How easy it is to get relief for casino operators, but how hard it is to get relief for tenants. Good luck, civics teacher in Darren Bailey's downstate district with that one. And then while you're teaching the civics class in Darren Bailey's district, talk about the farm assistance program we have that Darren Bailey gets a lot of money. A shout out to Danny Mahopoulos. He's the one who broke that story for WBEZ. So, just talk about the conflicting attitudes that Republicans have when, let's say, someone in Chicago gets relief for their rent, but in contrast to someone like Darren Bailey getting a handout, to help pay the bills on the farm? Just really interesting challenge for a civics teacher. Good luck with that one, civics teacher in downstate Darren Bailey's district.
Well, I tell you what, if that downstate guy Darren Bailey only knew how much that this program talked about that guy. All right, we're moving on here. Hey, Ben, stop gambling. We got a show to do.
Oh, sorry,
Good
man.
Lord.
I used to have a problem in that area, D. You know that. So
I know.
I'm a reformed gambler.
Let's not bring it back now. All right, moving on to some Chicago news. Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot.
How did you go from sharing stories over the years to deciding to write a book?
Good question, Mayor. Good question.
Oh, what a great question.
Today, the mayor is or was, it's hard to tell, it's the middle of the day, on Belmont Avenue with Alderman Tom Tunney and Chicago Public Library Commissioner Andrea Telly for the reopening of the newly renovated Monroe Branch Public Library. Ben, you love libraries. When are you going to that one?
Well, at John Monroe, I actually know the John Monroe Library. John Monroe is the former Democratic committeeman of the 44th Ward. For a brief moment, he was actually the alderman of the 44th Ward. This is a long time ago. They named the branch on Belmont, which is just west of Broadway, that particular branch on the north side of the street. How about this, D? It's a lovely library. I did not know they were renovating it. It's relatively new. I don't know why they're already renovating it, but I know that branch. I love libraries. My beloved Evanston Public Library is still closed, so I can't use that, but I go to the Sulzer branch here in Chicago all the time. So, as I always point out, it's kind of quirky how things happen in Chicago. Lori Lightfoot, the mayor of Chicago, opened the libraries, but kept the lakefront closed. And the mayor of Evanston, his name is Steve Haggerty. How do I know that, D? I do not know. I actually don't know if Steve Haggerty has as much power in Evanston as Lori Lightfoot has in Chicago. But their lakefront was never closed, and their libraries are still closed, so figure that out. Anyway, I'm here. Congratulations, Mayor Lori Lightfoot, for opening the libraries.
All right, and looking at new Chicago laws, one went into effect today, and that's the Chicago Fair Work Week Ordinance.
Yes.
This ordinance covers employers primarily engaged in only certain industries, including building services, hotels, healthcare, and retail. An employer in a covered industry must also employ 100 or more employees globally, 250 for nonprofit corporations, 50 of whom need to be, quote, covered employees. An employee is covered by the ordinance where they earn up to $26 per hour or $50,000 or less salaried, and the employee must mostly work in the city of Chicago and in the covered industry.
You lost me. Once you get to the fine print of these laws, the law is intended to protect the rights of workers, but then, then the other side it's like a civics class. Here, teach this in a civics class. How can a law that's intended to protect the rights of workers end up reading like a legal document? He just read the first party with the second party, the blah, 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 blah.
That was a terrible impression of me.
When it's all said and done, who knows who's protected? So that's because civics class, you have lobbyists. Ever hear about that? Ooh, teaching the concept of a lobbyist to a civics class in the city of Chicago. How about teaching TIFs in a city of Chicago classroom? Oh my God!
Hey, let's just train a bunch of little Ben Joravskys and
there we go.
Throw them out into the world.
But I'll tell you what would be popular if I went to DB's district and talked about Chicago TIFs program.
Hey, who's gonna feed them hogs?
I want some of that TIF money. Anyway, what you just read, D, I couldn't follow it, so I'm sure there's basically saying there's all these loopholes in the law to protecting various businesses from having to be fair to its workers. So.
Yeah, I got lost in reading it myself. I can just sound good while reading it.
I know, you did a great job of reading it, but I mean, that was, I think, from the Sun-Times article. Was that the Sun-Times article?
I believe so.
I don't know. A lot of times I read articles, it's in the morning, I'm not really up yet, you know what I'm saying? And so I'm reading this article, I'm drinking, oh my God, here comes the legalese, bring in the lawyer. Where's Jim Coogan? We need Coogan to help me with this. Anyway.
So there you are, everybody. That is the news for the day here. Let's go into the live stream chat. Pat Rod, what's up? He said, oh my God, I can't believe I missed Ben sing I'm So Pretty. We tuned in late.
Well, first of all, you could download the podcast, which drops at approximately, what would you say, D? 3:45?
Yeah, 3:45.
3:45.
But Pat Rod, he rewound a little bit and started from the beginning. So glad you're with us, Patty.
You want me to sing it again?
Sure.
I feel pretty, oh so pretty, and witty am I. See the pretty girl in the mirror. Maybe my favorite song in West Side Story.
All right, let's see here. Oh, Jay Marie, what's up? Jay Marie weighed in with a point here. First off, she says, I think the younger people are worse with masks.
I'm with you, Jay Marie, 150%. These young people go, oh, it's the older people are fooling themselves.
And then she goes on to say, CPD also does not wear masks. most I have seen do not have on masks.
You know, it's funny. I've been counting. It's funny that you mentioned this, Jean-Marie. When I go for my nightly walk, whenever I see a cop, I notice, are they wearing a mask? Are they not wearing a mask? It's about 50-50. I realize that would not count in a civics class as an accurate study, but it's my rough.
Looks like the live stream chat has created a new nickname for our president, COVID-45, they're calling him.
That's very good. I'm going to steal that and use it. Hold on. COVID-45. Very good.
And more people say they're calling, like Jim, he says, calling BS on the laptops texting because cops always use laptops when they are running license plates in traffic. So once again, he pointed that out as well.
Yeah, but isn't it the guy, if it's two cops in a car, here I am defending the police, the passenger seat guy? Like okay, in the old days, when I occasionally drove to the office, when we come home, Dennis would drive. Right, D? You love driving. And I hate driving. It worked out perfectly. He's a good driver, by the way.
Yeah.
And
not that great at parallel parking. I'm a country country
I know.
kid, so.
Isn't that funny? Like he would do the driving, we'd get to he'd get out, and I would parallel park. But it worked. We have our strengths and our weaknesses.
Yeah, we don't do that much in the country where I'm from, so
But anyway, so I would be on the phone, but it's okay because I'd be cutting deals on the phone, setting up the next day's interviews. But Dennis would be driving, so I don't know. The passenger is certainly way. Anyway.
Well, feel free to weigh in on the live stream chat. We got plenty more show to go, and we would love to hear from you. Also, you can feel free to reach out to us on social media at Benny J Show, BENNY, the letter J Show, on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Say hey to Leah. Leah is back. Yes, school is out. I don't know when. I guess school is going to be back in August. Who knows? Pandemic. But we got Leah with us, and she's helping us out on social media. So say hey to Leah. Find us on all the social media. Weigh in with your thoughts and good stuff like that. And don't miss tonight's part 2 of the Ben Joravsky Show. That's right. We do this live, and then we jump off, and then we make part 2 available for download only at both Chicago Sun-Times and Chicago Reader websites and wherever else you download your favorite podcast. Ben, remind everybody one more time, who's our part 2?
Vince Normant, Marijuana Hall of Fame. We'll be talking policing issues. We'll be talking, well, his picture was just in the Sun-Times. I'm going to give him a hard time about that. But politics, policing issues, sports, Vince can cover pretty much any topic.
So if you're listening, please, live streamers, send in your ballots for the Marijuana Hall of Fame, all right? Maybe you can get in there. I don't know. We'll talk to him and see if we can get you registered or something. All right, so we're going to take a little break.
Hold on.
What?
I'd like to read Stephen's letter. I've been meaning to read this letter.
Yes.
I was going to read it yesterday, but I couldn't find it, and now I found it.
And yes, Stephen, he's on the live stream chat. Tractors do have a reverse, but go ahead. Yes.
Is that true?
Yeah.
How do you know?
I'm from the country.
Okay. And this is a great letter. I got it about a week ago. I've been meaning to read it. I was going to read it yesterday, but I couldn't find it. Found it. Here we go. Dear comrades, it is with regret that I confess I have not raised my activism to a level I would expect during this struggle. This crisis spiritually knocked me to the mat, and I have yet to rally back to my feet. But we are all one in the struggle. Your strength is my strength, and clearly all are not down for the count, so neither am I. I'd like to mix my metaphors and settle up my activist debt by regifting y'all a message from native son Fred Hampton, quote, "Where there are people, there is power, all power to the people," unquote. These words are more needed now than ever because we the people find ourselves asking now more than ever, what are we to do about it? Our main avenue of dissent, peaceful demonstration, is being repressed and criminalized. The police department can just download demonstration photos from social media, round people up on bogus charges, and hope we're too poor or isolated to make bail. Sure, we might win, but it's only when they let us. FDR said, "Go out and make me do it." To you, I ask, why aren't we allowed to do it for ourselves? It is the people with the political will to take to the streets to demand change. It is the people who take to the streets the next day to clean up broken windows and tear gas canisters. We have a problem when all the political will to improve and maintain society is with the people, and all the power to do anything lies in the hands of politicians who either only tepidly support Kenta Cloth Nancy. Oh, you got to rip Nancy Pelosi, huh, Stephen? I'm smiling. Or violently oppose our struggle, the occupant. Voting is not power when our choices are all corporate lawyers. Protest and disobedience do not bring about adequate reform when everything needs reforming. We must demand radical change to the balance of power. We must demand power. As a humble nobody sent by no one, I make this modest call to action and request our editor, host, and pal, a digital First Tuesday where Benny and Maya get the fine leaders of our growing progressive movement to talk about people power. Problems are not just opportunities we don't recognize yet. In our young activist organizers caucus, we have an opportunity to get the power. I am curious what a Jeanette, a Carlos Ramirez Rosa, or a SDG, and we all know who SDG is, D, Stacey Davis Gates, type person would say about people power, and I hope you are too. We won't see the change we need to see until we are allowed to make change for ourselves. All power to the people. Yours in struggle, Stephen Yoshida. Stephen, great letter. And yeah, I'm going to talk to Maya about that. I don't know if I want to do a virtual hideout show, Stephen. I have to think about this. I don't know. Zoom. I cannot. I have my things with Zoom.
Zoom hasn't won you over yet.
No, no. But I want to. It's a great topic for whenever we get back to the hideout. I was talking to Timmy Tutton at the hideout a while ago about that, and if we do a show at the hideout, we have to be wearing masks. There's still a lot of rules and regulations, but I would rather just do a regular hideout show with masks, D, and have our good friend Tonio put it out over Facebook, just like the old days, a limited audience. I think that would be fun to do, and I love having Jeanette Taylor on that stage with Stacey Davis Gates. That would be a great show.
Well, I think listeners are just excited to hear that you're, thinking about First Tuesday and trying to get it back up on its feet. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I definitely miss First Tuesday, and I miss the dynamic, the audience. Frank would be there in the front row. It's a really smart audience. They'd ask great questions. A lot of times they ask a question, I wouldn't know what they were talking about because it was like an issue I hadn't read about. So, boy, talk about ducking and dodging, D. Oh, well, that's an interesting question.
Shout out to Radio Doogie on the live stream chat. Doogers brings up a great idea. Do a hideout patio show.
That is a great idea. I'm going to talk to Timmy T about that. That would be a great idea. We were talking about that with PC, Peter Cunningham, the show he dropped last night. By the way, it's a great interview with Peter Cunningham. The sound quality is a little off, I must confess. But
sorry, Eric Zorn.
No, Eric, I really apologize for this one because the sound quality, we knew when it was happening, but PC was on a roll and he wanted to stop him. But he was suggesting we do a show from his backyard, which I talked to Dennis about. I'm really down for that. But that's a great idea. I'm going to talk to Timmy Tutton about that. Maybe do a patio show.
Hell yeah.
What the rules and regulations are about that. I'm going to give old Tim a call. We got to get Timmy back on the show. He hasn't been on in a while, right?
No, he has not. He's great.
Let's hear your Tim Tutton impression.
All right. Well, if you're listening, Tim, please come on the show. Don't be upset.
Oh, Ben, man, let's go. Hey.
It's like Sebastian Bach on Trailer Park Boys, really.
A little Joe Rogan-esque. Just saying, do your Joe Rogan right now.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's great. Joe Rogan. 20 million. We're at 500,000. He's at 20 million. We're coming for you, Joe.
Watch out, Joey. All right. Spotify, help us out, huh?
Yeah, come on, Spotify.
Come on. All right. And we'd like to welcome two new people to the live stream chat. This is awesome. Lucille, what's going on? Welcome to the live stream chat. Lucille is a fan of Zoom. Zoom is easy to connect. I like it.
Okay. I don't know, Lucille. We'll just have to agree to disagree with it.
All right, and we got another new live streamer. Took me a while to understand the joke here in the name here. Tall, T-A-L-L, Ken, K-E-N, Chit. Talking Chit.
Took me a while, too. But then I got it. The light went on. Whoa.
That's awesome. Talking Chit.
Man,
welcome.
I'm hungry. Are you hungry?
I'll be fine.
I'm suddenly really hungry.
That was candid. Don't go anywhere, everybody. The Ben Joravsky Show will be right back. We are live from Ben's attic. Ben, you go ahead and make a request here. Pick a Michael Girardi song. I got...
Oh, Tiff!
Okay. We played that in the beginning of the show.
Editorial. I'm probably pound for pound my favorite is Editorial Board.
All right, we're gonna go Editorial Board from our good friend Michael Girardi. You can find these songs Bandcamp, Michael Girardi, Gerardi on Bandcamp. Download them. Tell your friends. You hear them on this fantastic little program, the Ben Joravsky Show. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with Monroe Anderson. We're live from Ben's attic.
Try not to
Yay for our teachers! Yay for our teachers!
The candidate most likable is somehow not electable. That's the story from the editorial board. We'd like to save the world when it's under attack, but how you gonna pay for that? Ow!
I've seen a whole lot of catfish, some turtles. No gators yet, though.
When people want proof that the world ain't flat, we'll just give them their money back. Oh yeah! We heard what you want to do. Now we'll tell you what's best for you. That's the story from the editorial board. A little tip for the working man. Your employers are all our friends. That's the story from the editorial board.
How did you go from sharing stories over the years to deciding to write a book?
The story from the editorial board. We'd like to save the world when it's under attack, but how you gonna pay for that? Ow! When people want proof that the world ain't flat, we'll just give them their money back. Oh yeah! That's the story from the editorial board. That's the story from the editorial board. That's the story from the editorial board. That's the story from the editorial board.
When I was a little girl, I remember singing the song, "This Little Light of Mine, I'm gonna let it shine." We've said it's time to bring in the light, and it's sure shining on all of us tonight. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Thank you very much. God bless you all, and God bless Chicago.
No, Ben, don't put on that pair of bell bottoms. Hey, we're back, everybody. Hour number 2 underway. Hour number 2 is brought to you by our good friends at the Illinois Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 9, and the International Association. I can't remember the union. Local 150. Illinois Operating Engineers, Local 150. There we go. Thanks to those unions. And, of course, the Chicago Federation of Labor. You guys are awesome. All right. Let's call up the man, the myth, the legend himself, Mr. Monroe Anderson. Uh-oh. I did it wrong from the get-go. All right, here we go.
My favorite part of the show, the phone call. Will it work? Will it not work? There's that awkward pause.
Hello.
All right. Connection has been made.
Am I coming through loud and clear?
What do you think, Dennis?
You sound great, buddy.
You sound great, yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah, you sound, actually, you do sound good. I mean,
We weren't lying.
we weren't lying for once.
I know how you guys like to put me on. Everybody else is listening going, he doesn't sound good at all.
We're just leading you. All right, now look, I have a confession to make, Monroe. Before the show, when Monroe and I were talking, doing our pre-show prep, which we do every Wednesday, he said, send me a cheat sheet. I said, you got it. And I forgot to send you one. So
Right.
I'm just going to read the cheat sheet that I would have sent, and we'll see how many of these items we get through. So we're going to do Bounty Gate. We're going to do mask attack, the Republicans' aversion to masks. We're going to do the great Facebook boycott. I have joined it. Monroe has not. We're going to talk about the Supreme Court. John Roberts desperately trying to win back swing voters in Wisconsin. If you don't think he's a political operative for the Republican Party, you are kidding yourself. And then the curious candidacy of Burgess Owens. I sent Monroe some samples of Burgess Owens' worldview. He is a former NFL player who was victorious in the Republican primary.
Who did he play for? Do you know?
I believe, don't quote me on this, the New York Jets. He played for the New York Jets. That was back in the day, so he's...
Okay, yeah, so I vaguely remember him being an idiot then, too. You know, I mean, you had the guy... I mean, the problem with some of these NFL players is they take one too many to the head. So, you know, and they've been taking them since they were in high school. You know, because you had the guy, I can't remember his name, but who played for the Pittsburgh Steelers, who refused to go to the White House to meet with Obama when the rest of the team did.
I don't remember that guy.
You know,
I don't.
You don't remember, or you remember, but you don't remember his name.
I don't. I know that there was a bear who refused to go. Dan Hampton wouldn't go to the White House to see Obama when Obama.
But this was a black player I'm talking about. Now I understand why the white players would do it.
Well, I don't understand why they wouldn't do it, but I
do.
Okay, but who? No, I don't remember.
It's racist. But this was a black player. I can't remember.
Well, we'll find it.
Yeah.
Let's just start with this topic first because we're already discussing it. And so Burgess Owens, I've seen him his clips, and he is a former NFL player. As I said, he is a Republican, and he's a black man, and he is unafraid to say things about the Black Lives Matters movement that many white people who are running for office would be very reluctant to openly say. They may say it privately at home.
They do say it privately.
Yeah, but they're not going to go. But Burgess Owens doesn't care, and as such, he's going to be used by the Republican Party as the voice on these issues, because then they could say, see, if it's not racist if Burgess Owens says it. So that's the role. Of
course not.
So what's your thoughts about all this, Monroe?
Oh, well, okay, let's go way back in American history. We were brought here 401 years ago. We were freed in 1863 or 1865, depending on where you lived. And there have always been some black person that loved the master more than they do themselves. And there were slaves when they were freed who were more concerned about what was going to happen to the master now that they weren't around to help them than they were about themselves and getting freedom. There are also blacks who tempt being black to white conservatives. You know, if I wanted to be a $2 million a year man, all I would have had to do is to talk Republican talking points, and they would snap me up. I'd be on Fox or someplace like that.
Mm-hmm.
They'd be parading me around, and as long as I continue to say the right things, then I would be. But there is no sense in what he says. Black Lives Matter is this era's civil rights movement. Period.
Mm-hmm.
And so anybody who attacks it, you know, the whites who attack it, these are the same people who in Dr. King's day were attacking him, calling him a communist and all kind of other things because they didn't like what he was saying and doing. And now that it's because it's the nature of conservatism, once something is established, in most cases, then they try to conserve that. So they accept what's become established. They just don't want any change. And particularly when it comes to black people.
All right, now I'm going to ask you some follow-up questions because you've raised a lot of points, and particularly I'm going to ask you about Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina. But when you mention Martin Luther King, I just have to say this, Monroe. When Martin Luther King was alive,
right,
and protesting and leading a movement against all kinds of things, it wasn't just getting blacks from the back of the bus to the front of the bus. It was also pushing for an economic justice program, guaranteed income program, health care for all program, anti-poverty program, against the war in Vietnam, all these left of center causes that he was pushing for in his last years of his life. He was widely vilified and demonized by many white people in this country. Came to Chicago, got hit in the head with a rock for open housing mark. And the FBI was pursuing a campaign against him that was attempting, they were listening to his conversations, listening to his hotel and motel rooms, they were taping it, and using the tapes to try to drive him to suicide. So this was how many white people in this country treated Martin Luther King. Now, fast forward to 2020, one of the things I really find contemptible, Monroe, is when I see Trump supporters, Donald Trump, MAGA in general, using Martin Luther King as though he somehow or other is their ally.
Right. Oh, no, there are some blacks and whites who talk about his being a Republican. Now, the people who were his cohorts at that time have denied that. They say he was apolitical in terms of political party. I wouldn't be surprised if his father was probably a Republican, because that was during that period where blacks were switching from being Republicans to Democrats. Because earlier in our history, the Democrats were particularly the Dixie Democrats, were the racists, and the Republicans were either neutral or they tried to Lincoln had freed us, so that's why we were Republicans. But what happened during the 50s and the 60s, well, FDR happened first, and some of his policies which helped poor blacks. But then during the 50s and the 60s, the civil rights movement was treated by Republicans like it was some sort of communist plot.
Mm-hmm.
And so blacks started switching over. I mean, we have, since we were able to vote, we've always known en masse what was better for us, which policies were better for us, because they're so life and death oriented. They aren't of the luxury, for example, with poor white Republicans who Trump is not doing anything for. In fact, he's hurting them almost as much as he's hurting us. They love him because he reinforces their white supremacy. And so they don't care if they're not doing anything. Back during the days of slavery, you had these poor white people who were treated almost as badly as slaves. But the one thing they had was that they were white, and therefore that made them better than a black person. So it always gave them a status. Mm-hmm. And it's not that different today among the poor, uneducated, or the uneducated old white men who love Trump.
Although it's interesting to see that he's losing some of that older white support.
Oh, he's killing them. He's killing them. That's why. It's one thing. Okay, well, he's back at the Supreme Court, and he's keeping those libtards in their place or what have you. But it's another thing where I might die, but I could be dead in 2 weeks because of this man's ineptness.
Yeah. Wait, before we lose track of this, we get to the move from the subject. Your thoughts on Senator Tim Scott and the role he plays in our current political discourse? He's the only black man who's a senator from the Republican side. He's one of 3 black senators in the Senate at the moment, right? 3? Am I forgetting?
Yeah.
And he's from South Carolina. He's a Republican and a Trump supporter. But he's usually the Republican called out to sort of temper whatever insanity is coming out of Trump. What do you think about Tim Scott and the role he plays?
Okay, there are some true black conservatives. I once, many years ago, 30 years ago or so, I had a conversation with Armstrong Williams. I don't know if you know him.
Yeah.
Or not. Yeah. And he bragged about how he had been a conservative and his father was a conservative, etc. So, I mean, there are some blacks who are that way. Maybe it's a bad seed or something. I don't know. But anyway, there are, Condi Rice, same thing. Her father was a conservative. And the thing is, if white Americans, and now mainly Republicans, weren't so racist, the Republicans could, because in a lot of ways, black Americans are conservative. The majority, not all, obviously, but a large number are churchgoers, and so they believe in all those conservative principles connected with church. Economic conservatives in some sense. I mean, they are conservative, but the racism, which is a thing that we have to deal with, no matter whether we're poor or rich or whatever, you never know when you're going to get slapped in the face with something racist. And so that is more unifying to us than anything else. Clarence Thomas, this was years ago, but there was a case on lynching years ago where Clarence Thomas, for a brief fleeting moment, became a liberal and voted against whatever it was. I can't remember what it was, but he voted on the side with the liberals because it was about lynching. And so I mean, there are certain racial things that unite us, and for those people who are not united for, what Tim Scott is doing is trying to walk a line. He's trying to be black enough because he needs the black vote also in South Carolina. So he can't alienate all the black folks, but he has to be the Republicans' boy at the same time. And he tries to find a nice balance where, he defends the Republican position, but when they do something too outrageous, he speaks out. And that's his way of trying to remain authentic.
Well, go ahead, finish your thought.
Yeah, now I'm just going to say, whereas Candace Owens is just putting on a clown show, and this the football player, I'm forgetting his name already.
Burgess Owens.
Burgess
Owens.
Yeah, Burgess Owens. He's an opportunist, I think.
Well, he could be.
He
could be a congressman. He's running in a district in Utah that was Republican. Mia Love was the congresswoman back in 2016 she was elected,
Right.
and then
Yeah.
she was defeated
Yeah.
in the last go around by Ben McAdams. So it's considered a toss-up district, and my guess is, if I had to put money in Vegas, is that McAdams would prevail, and I'm saying this based on Monroe, everything that you and David Ferris, who's a frequent guest on the show, tell me about how the polls are trending against Trump. So my guess is that Trump would bring down as opposed to elevate the Republican votes.
Right.
So,
oh no, the Republicans are getting nervous in the service right now. By the time we talk next week, they may have broken from Trump.
Yeah.
I mean, because he gets more and more outrageous. In fact, there's now speculation. I don't know if you're familiar with this or not. There's speculation that Trump, will quit either before November 3rd or immediately thereafter.
Okay, first of all, I don't know when you say there's speculation. I don't know who's speculating. People have been speculating. A certain Monroe Anderson has been speculating that since since 2017.
I said he was going to get. I said he was going to get kicked out. But say the Republicans disappointed me greatly. I overestimated them too much. He should have been kicked out.
Yeah, I mean, there people have been coming on my show forever. Sergio Mims is always talking about it. He's not, Ben, you wait, you watch. He's not going to. So,
well, according to Sergio, he was going to die.
Yeah, well,
he should have been dead by now.
So
and he might. And if he keeps exposing himself to the virus, he will be dead before November 3rd.
Yeah, he doesn't believe it in the mask. But no, I believe that Donald Trump will be the Republican candidate. I just had, it was funny. My wife came into it was yesterday. She was telling me, she was talking to someone who told her that he read somewhere on the internet that the Republicans are going to kick Donald Trump off the ticket. I'm like, what? Hey,
no, they ain't gonna kick him off.
Come on.
No. They're gonna kick him off. It's gonna be because he is gonna be beaten so badly in November. It's gonna be embarrassingly bad.
All right, but
so he may see the writing on the wall, and to save face, come up with some lie on why he should step down. The Democrats have rigged it too much, and he can't. They're cheating so badly, and they're doing this, and so rather than put up with it, he's just going to not run. He's not going to be the candidate.
All right. First of all, that is not going to happen. If it does happen, I will buy you dinner or lunch at the restaurant of your choice, presuming the restaurants are open come September, October.
So they'll be open sooner or later. If not this October, next October.
Next October. So we'll have to wait till that. Yeah. That's not going to happen.
Yeah, right.
All right. Now let's get back to what I was going to say. You were saying that the Republicans bring Tim Scott out to sort of explain things when they are so outrageous. How about the line when Trump retweeted the white power video from the Village in Florida? Have you been following that one, Monroe?
Oh, yeah. You mean the one he retweeted, but he didn't realize that he didn't hear that part?
Yes, that
which
one.
Was 8 seconds into the video.
Yes, that one.
Right. Well, whether it's for real or pretend, Trump is undoubtedly the dumbest president we've had in our lifetime. Because he didn't know about the white power thing. He didn't hear that. He doesn't know about the bounty being put out on our soldiers' heads by the Russians or via the Taliban. He doesn't know about that. Although everybody and their mother in the intelligence community says he was briefed, but he didn't know about it. But let's say that he did know about it.
Mm-hmm.
Or no, let's say, okay, first of all, let's go with the he didn't know about it. They put it in writing. Bolton says that he told them about it a year ago or so.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, let's say he wasn't paying any attention to Bolton. He was thinking about his next tweet or something like that. Then he is not fit to be president. It's a dereliction of duty that this could happen and he not know about it? More importantly, now that he does know about it, why hasn't he called his buddy Putin up and says, "You in trouble, buddy. We don't allow nobody to kill our young Americans who are defending our lives. So we got a problem." In fact, what he's been doing is trying to get him back into the G7, so it'll be the G8 again.
Mm-hmm.
And he was going to invite him to the White House. And this is when he should have known about this whole bounty on American soldiers. And so, and so much information has come out proving that he and his administration are lying about him not knowing it. So now their defense has evolved to, well, they kind of sort of knew about it, but it wasn't conclusive enough for them to do anything about it.
Yeah.
During Cold War, in a Cold War,
Mm-hmm.
it's not like a police action where you need conclusive information before you act on it.
All right. I'm going to
The
separate.
fact that
I'm going to separate the issue of Bountygate, the fact that Russia was putting a bounty on the lives of American soldiers. Put that to the side, and how the United States should respond to that, and just point out how just this is going on in Afghanistan, where it was 30 years ago that the Soviets were tied down to Afghanistan, trying to figure out how to get out of Afghanistan. Sometimes the world is so preposterous, Monroe, when I try to figure it out. Just think about that. In our lifetime, in the late 70s, early 80s, it was the Soviets, Putin being operative for the old KGB and the Soviet.
And we were giving
aid
the
to
Taliban and other weapons.
Yes. So now the roles are
which
flipped.
which they've been using against us. They've been using our weapons against us for the past 20 years.
Right. So let's just put the whole sordid history of Russia and the United States and their role in Afghanistan to the side for the moment. That's a very complicated conversation that could consume a whole show. And deal with...
Yeah, right. Okay, but one thing, just one of my favorite line. Afghanistan, where empires go to die.
Yeah.
Okay, so we can go on now.
We go on there. I know. People.
Right.
That's... all right. So... And get back to the issue of why Trump is so reluctant to defy Putin. And Monroe Anderson's been saying this on my show since 2017. And he's I've never seen anybody from the Republican Party come up with any way of refuting you on this point. Your essential assertion is that Donald Trump has been blackmailed by the Putin and the Russians because of his financial connections to Russian lenders.
Which there's a good chance that within the next week, but by the time we talk next week, we may know more about that because it's before the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court, which normally would have adjourned today, has extended. They have 8 more cases to hear. So they've extended for a week or two. Because of the coronavirus, and so it messed up their schedule. But they are definitely going to rule on whether the New York State Attorney's Office can get into Trump's business.
Mm-hmm.
See the records from Deutsche Bank, and this whole bounty gate should take Trump out. Once we see the ugliness of his record, that he's going to be so far down and out, there's no recovery.
All right, let's
because he's been laundering rubles.
All right, let's get into that decision. Much anticipated. Okay. I've talked about it with at least 2 different guests. Jim Coogan and I have talked about it at length in past interviews, and Monroe and I have talked about this. Monroe Anderson, do you believe that the Supreme Court, which consists of 5 Republicans and 4 Democrats, so the Republicans outnumber the Democrats, will rule to order Donald John Trump's tax records made public? Do you believe, you do believe that? You think they will do that?
I believe. Yes.
And so
Yes,
what will the ruling be? What will be the vote in your humble? Will it be 9-0 unanimous?
No. It's going to be 5 or 6 to 1. I mean, 5 or 6. 5 to 4 or 6 to 3.
No way.
Yeah.
No, you're telling me you're going to find 2 Republicans to vote against Donald Trump on this?
Maybe. I'm not saying that's for sure, but yeah, maybe.
No way Gorsuch or Kavanaugh are going to vote against the boss man. No way. They're soldiers to Donald Trump. So Alito and Clarence Thomas.
Gorsuch voted against Trump on, what was that?
It was on gay rights.
Right.
And that, in my humble opinion, was a one-shot deal on Neil Gorsuch. That was a political move to try to distance the Republicans from the real nutcases who are totally homophobic, because Gorsuch, who's a Republican and cares about these are all political decisions. One thing that really irritates the hell out of me, Monroe, and feel free to vigorously disagree with me, as I know you will if you do, is the notion that like somehow are these jurists, like are purists, who are making these rulings based on these heartfelt principles of law. What a joke! They're all they're members of political parties. There's 5 Republicans and 4 Democrats. Basically, those 4 Democrats share my views and your views, and they're going to use the law to convey that. And I'm going to applaud them when they do. And those 5 Republicans are going to use the law to uphold whatever nonsense is coming out of the Republican Party. And Gorsuch just said, you know what, you went too far with your homophobia. It's going to hurt us in future elections, so I'm going to distance from it. That's what that was all about. And you agree with me?
Okay, and this is why they're going to expose Trump's taxes, make him show up his taxes, because Congress has subpoenaed them, not from Trump, but from the subpoenaed the records from the bank, and ignored it. And if they allow him to ignore a subpoena, then not only will he continue to ignore them for the next 5 months before Biden beats him, but any Democratic president in the future will be able to do the same, because they will have established precedent. So that a Democratic president who they would not agree with will be able to do it because they've said it's okay to do that.
Yeah.
And so that's why they're going to say, no, you got to cough them up.
Maybe Roberts, but no way.
Roberts for sure. Roberts for sure.
For sure?
For sure, Roberts.
All right, let's just make a bet. What the heck?
Because, and I'll tell you why.
Go ahead.
Roberts is a conservative, but he doesn't want to go down, and he's concerned about his legacy.
Okay.
And he does not want to go down in American history as the knee-jerk, always wrong SCOTUS. He doesn't want his court to have that reputation.
Well, so you may be right on that. You may be right on Roberts.
He saved Obamacare.
Yes, he did. Yes,
he
did.
And he didn't have to do that.
No, and he avoided...
Because he's trying to protect his legacy. So he's going to do for the right-wingers as much as he can when he can. But when it gets to be too ridiculous, then he's going to suddenly become responsible.
All right. I'll concede, Roberts. No way, Gorsuch. Gorsuch is a Trump puppet. And so we'll just have to wait this one out. But I hope.
Okay, we'll see.
We'll see. I hope you're right.
Literally within a week to 10 days, we'll know.
We'll know. And boy,
So this is a long time. It's not a long time thing.
and by the way,
We'll
when
know.
that happens, we will be talking about it. Jimmy Coogan will come on the show. We'll be talking about it a lot. If they force Donald Trump to release his taxes, would be a beautiful day. We could finally see on the eve of the election, Monroe, forcing him to
But
release.
this is why he may, in fact, resign, because when those taxes come out and it's revealed all the stuff he has done, he won't. I mean, he's already seen the writing on the wall that he's losing and gonna lose. Even Chris Christie on Stephanopoulos' show Sunday said that he was gonna lose unless he changed his whole everything. But Trump is 74 years old, so that's not gonna happen.
All right. Let's close it down with a Facebook discussion. I take delight in this one. I'm not a big fan of Facebook, as Monroe knows, and this is how much the world has changed in the last month or so since George Floyd's murder was documented and put out for everybody to see. Facebook
it's an inflection point.
And Facebook, which had been sticking to this notion concocted by their lawyers and Mark Zuckerberg that somehow or other they shouldn't have the authority to clean up their site from all kinds of racist and hate-filled invective and just lies put out by politicians about other politicians, that somehow or other they shouldn't be obligated for that. They're starting to talk about retreating from that in the face of a boycott. Monroe, I have to tell you, I didn't see this day coming. I figured that Zuckerberg was going to stick to that.
Well, it's not. He doesn't. It's not a boycott that matters to him about you and me dropping our membership, not participating anymore, because he has 2.5 billion friends on Facebook around the world. So a million folks or so dropping out won't matter to him. But what has happened is there are 330 companies or something like that have halted their advertising on Facebook. I mean, these are any names you think of. I mean, these are really major companies, not Joe's Barbershop or something. It's like it's Nike. It just goes on and on and on and on. I mean, the really heavy hitters. And so suddenly they've had an awakening, and they just kicked off all the Boogaloo websites. There were 220 of them. And they just closed them down because they were just saying racist stuff and calling for killing of cops and killing of black people and anti-Semitic stuff. I mean, these were the white supremacists. They want a race war, and this one person, I think from the ADL, asked somebody from Facebook, says, well, if instead of calling themselves the Boogaloos, which sounds like a bunch of clowns or something, if their name was ISIS, they're calling themselves ISIS, would you still let them be on Facebook? This was after a federal official was killed by one of the Boogaloo crowd, and the guy says no, they would have been off. They wouldn't have gone this long. So it's fortunately we're in this changing time for the good, and the thing is, those of us who are woke need to keep the pressure. We can talk about monuments some other time.
Yeah.
For example.
Well, for what it's worth, I've been boycotting Facebook personally. It's a lot of reasons. I don't know how long I'll continue this. I just haven't been posting anything. I haven't posted anything on Instagram in ages. and there's a whole bunch of
Yeah,
different
I don't
reasons.
do Instagram.
Yeah, you don't do Instagram at all. But I really welcome this. My position is that Facebook is essentially a giant online newspaper, and they should have the same standards that newspapers
Oh,
have.
yeah, right, exactly, and that's coming. That's
Yeah.
coming, and it's not. It's, it'll get here before Trump is gone. I think.
Well,
I mean, just given the time period, I'm not saying the two are connected.
yeah.
But Trump will be gone by November 3. I mean, he will have lame duck status at that point.
All right. That's a
At the best.
That's a good spot as ever to shut down the conversation because we have to move on, end today's show.
Okay.
With
All right.
another prediction from Monroe that Trump will be gone, which will get me through another week until we talk again. Monroe Anderson, thank you very much. As always, every Wednesday in the Ben Joravsky Show. Appreciate you coming on our show for 3 years now. So thank you very much.
All right.
Stay safe and sound. Monroe Anderson, and that's it. D, got any updates before we head out the door?
I'm looking here. I'm not seeing too many stories, but we do want to remind everybody part 2 of your Ben Joravsky Show will be available for download tonight by 7 p.m. at both Chicago Sun-Times and Chicago Reader websites and wherever else you download your favorite podcasts. I'm going to stall a little bit in ending the show and let the live stream chat room weigh in with their ballots for the Marijuana Hall of Fame, because that's what we're talking about, right, Ben?
That would be one of the things. Vince Normant is the founder of the Marijuana Hall of Fame, or the owner of the Marijuana Hall of Fame. But that's just one of the things. We're talking police issues, a lot of police issues and stuff. But yeah, we'll be talking who should be in the Marijuana Hall of Fame. Absolutely.
Once again, it drops tonight, 7 p.m. Chicago Sun-Times, Chicago Reader websites, wherever else you download your favorite podcast, live streamers. I know it's download only. We highly encourage that you go do that and tell your friends. And while you're there, subscribe to the show and give us a review. But remember that golden rule here on the Ben Joravsky Show. When it comes to those reviews, 5 stars only. All right, we do have a story here. This comes from the Chicago Sun-Times and Matthew Hendrickson. Seeing a lot of new names here on these Sun-Times articles. Matthew, do I know you? Have I seen you in the cafeteria? No? All right, it says here, Kim Foxx confirms office will err on side of dismissing cases related to protests and the curfew. We talked about this yesterday. Looks like we got a follow-up here. Cook County State's Attorney Kim Foxx confirmed that her office will err on the side of dismissing charges stemming from arrests at demonstrations and for citywide curfew violations during the week of protests and civil unrest in the wake of George Floyd's death. Foxx said her directive was about prioritizing higher-level felony cases over misdemeanors, a policy she has argued for frequently since she was elected in 2016. We have a quote from Foxx. Foxx said, quote, "The question it comes down to is a good use of our time, or is it a good use of our time and resources? No, it's not."
Yeah, we talked about this yesterday. You should throw all those cases out. The harassment, the purpose of arresting them, to harass people, get them off the streets, whatever it is, to send a message, has been delivered. So there's no need to continue anymore, okay? So, yes, good idea. I appreciate that.
And Kathy, don't worry. She's on the live stream chat. I will let Ben see your post. She says, "You're missing all of my great posts on Facebook, Ben."
Sorry, Kathy. Yeah, I've been off Facebook for a
I'll try and make it look like it's not Facebook, like a text or something. We'll try and sneak it in there somehow, all right?
I apologize. I've just been really struggling. Maybe I'll talk about that tomorrow, but I'm really struggling with Facebook.
I'll put a big giant Bulls logo before I text it to him, and then he'll maybe read it. I don't know.
Yeah, Bulls. Okay. Hey.
Good times. And also, Doogie, thank you very much. He reminded me we do have a phone number as well. You want to leave us a voicemail? Got something on your mind? Something grinding your gears? Well, head over and call the Ben Joravsky Show. Yes, we have a phone number. We're in Chicago, but I guess all the 773s and 312s are taken. We got a 708 number. It's 708-658-4788. That number again. Come on, be easy. Help me out. 708-658-4788. Call the Ben Joravsky Show. Leave us an email, too. Oh, well, there's so many ways you can contact us, people. BennyJShow@gmail.com. BENNY, the letter J, show. What's so funny?
Just be easy. That number again.
That number again.
That's so radio. I don't know where I picked that up, but the number again. Radio.
We do have emails.
My AM radio days. The number again.
I don't think you ever said that during the AM radio days.
No, are they kidding? Yoda would have said, no, that's...
Let's see, 773-763-9278. That number again. All right, but seriously, send us an email, call us, reach out to us, go find us on social media, tell your friends. We got to keep mentioning this. I forgot to do it today, but I'm going to try and keep doing this. The Ben Joravsky Show, over 500,000 downloads. Yeah, that's right, people. Over 500,000. We're so appreciative of everyone who has downloaded this humble little program, and we look to keep on making more content. If you're an advertiser, if you own a business, if you're, I don't know, in a union or something, and you would like to sponsor the Ben Joravsky Show, well, here's a little note. Over 500,000 downloads, so people will hear your commercials. So reach out to the Ben Joravsky Show, reach out to the Chicago Reader, Chicago Sun-Times, whoever you got to reach out to, and become a sponsor of the Ben Joravsky Show.
And see that thing off in the distance, D? You know what that is?
What is that?
That's 1 million downloads, okay?
We're coming for you!
It's coming fast. Shoo, shoo, shoo. Pick it up pace every day.
Wait, hold on. Do you hear that? That noise?
Shoo.
No, it's Joe Rogan crying.
Oh, no. They're coming fast. Yeah. Can you imagine if we had some Jamie Foxx as a guest? Hey, we could get a few more hits too, huh? Jamie Foxx and the Joe Rogan Show.
Oh, wait, hold on. Newsroom's flagging me down.
What? Oh, no, you didn't. 2 days. You got to pay me.
I'm charging rent up here in that newsroom. They had 4 days, now we're down to 2. Mm-hmm. They got to get on out or pay me.
All right, very good. I want to thank Monroe Anderson, and of course, thank the man, the myth, the legend, the pride and joy of Alton, Illinois, without whom the show would be possible. Yes, indeed. Back home in Alton, they call him, what do they call him today? They call him Dr. Doobie. Give yourself a raise, take it out of petty cash. See you tomorrow, everyone.
Yay for our teachers! Yay for our teachers!
I've seen a whole lot of catfish and turtles. No gators yet, though.
How did you go from sharing stories over the years to deciding to write a book?
Good question, Mayor. Good question.